My name is Sarah, I'm 46 years old, and I'm a mother. That last part, being a mother, is the most important title I'll ever hold. And it's because I'm a mother that I have to share this story, this ache that still settles deep in my chest when I think about it. Imagine your child, pure-hearted and full of hope, pouring days of her young life, her passion, her very soul into creating something beautiful for the people she loves. Now imagine those people, her family, your family, not just failing to show up, but orchestrating their absence with a casual cruelty that steals the light from her eyes. My daughter, Lily, cooked an entire feast for 18 people to celebrate her grandmother's 80th birthday.
18.
And as the clock ticked past the appointed hour, as the magnificent aromas of her labor filled our home, not a single one of them arrived. And Lily? She just stood there, in her pretty dress, by a table laden with food and love, and waited. Waiting for people who had already decided she wasn't worth the courtesy of a call. How does a parent even begin to explain that? How do you shield your child from the casual disregard of those who should cherish her most? What would you have done? What would you have said, seeing your child's spirit crumble under the weight of such profound, unnecessary disappointment? Before we dive into the heart of this, if you're watching, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I share bits of my life, the ups and the downs, hoping to connect with others who might be navigating similar paths. If you find value here, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button, and don't forget the notification bell so you don't miss out on future stories. Your support truly means the world, more than you know. It's a little community we're building here, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who chooses to spend your time with me. This story isn't an easy one to tell. It involves family, expectations, and the kind of hurt that cuts deep because it comes from those you're biologically wired to trust. It's about a little girl's big heart and a family's monumental failure. And it's about what happens when a mother decides enough is truly, irrevocably enough. Now, to understand the depth of this betrayal, the sheer, breathtaking callousness of it all, I need to take you back. Not just to the days leading up to that disastrous birthday, but further, to the landscape of our family, so you can see the fault lines that were always there, the ones I'd papered over for years, hoping they'd somehow mend themselves. My daughter, Lily, was 14 at the time this happened. She's always been an old soul, a sensitive, observant child with a heart far too big for her small frame. And her passion, her true, unadulterated joy, was cooking. From the time she was old enough to stand on a stool beside me at the counter, she was fascinated by ingredients, by the alchemy of flavors, by the way food could bring people together and make them happy. She wasn't just making cookies or simple cakes. By 14, Lily was adventurous. She'd spend hours poring over cookbooks, watching cooking shows, experimenting with techniques far beyond her years. Her dream was to be a chef, to have her own little restaurant one day, a cozy place filled with warmth and laughter and delicious food. And she was good, truly exceptionally good. Her creations weren't just edible, they were thoughtful, balanced, and often stunningly beautiful. This gift, this passion, was something pure and untainted in her, a source of immense pride for me and my husband, David. David is and always has been my rock. A kind, steady man who sees people for who they are, not who they pretend to be or who family lore dictates they are. He adored Lily, championed her talents, and often found himself as baffled and frustrated by my family's dynamics as I was, though I had been marinating in them my entire life. My mother, Eleanor, was the recipient-to-be of Lily's grand culinary gesture. Her 80th birthday was on the horizon, a milestone we all agreed needed proper celebration. My relationship with Mom was complex. I loved her, of course, as daughters do, but it was a love tinged with a lifetime of feeling like I was on the periphery of her real affections. Mom wasn't overtly cruel, not in a way you could easily pinpoint and rage against. Instead, it was a more insidious pattern of quiet favoritism, of subtle dismissals, of her world seeming to revolve primarily around her son, my older brother, Mark. Mark was the golden child. Everything he did was brilliant, every achievement magnified, every mistake excused or brushed under the carpet. He could do no wrong in Mom's eyes, and by extension, in the eyes of my younger sister, Claire, who often acted as Mom's echo and Mark's deferential supporter. Claire was a follower, quick to adopt Mom's opinions, and she developed a knack for the same kind of casual dismissal that Mom sometimes exhibited towards me and, by extension, my own little family. I, on the other hand, was the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who just got on with things. My successes were met with a polite, "Oh, that's nice, dear," while Mark's most minor accomplishment would be trumpeted to anyone who would listen. It created a subtle, pervasive feeling of being less important, less loved, less seen. I'd spent years trying to earn that unequivocal approval, that spark of pride I saw in Mom's eyes when she looked at Mark, but it was an elusive, exhausting pursuit. Eventually, I'd learned to build my own world, my own happiness with David and Lily, trying to shield Lily from the more overt instances of this imbalance, though children are perceptive, and she undoubtedly sensed the undercurrents. Despite all this, Lily harbored a genuine, uncomplicated affection for her grandma Eleanor. Grandma, in turn, could be warm towards Lily in fleeting moments, flashes of grandmotherly pride that would make Lily glow and give me a sliver of hope that perhaps things were changing or could change. These were the moments Lily clung to, the moments that fueled her desire to do something truly special for Grandma's big birthday. Little did any of us know that this desire would lead to one of the most painful days of our lives, a day that would irrevocably alter our family landscape. The idea for the birthday dinner, the grand, ill-fated feast, began as the purest expression of Lily's love. As Mom's 80th birthday approached, the usual vague family discussions started, or rather, pronouncements from Mark about what he thought should happen. I was, as usual, more of an observer, waiting to be told the plan. But Lily, bless her innocent heart, had her own vision. One afternoon, she came to me, her eyes shining with that particular incandescent glow they got when she was truly excited about a culinary project. "Mom," she said, practically vibrating, "what if I cook Grandma's birthday dinner? Like a proper feast. For everyone. I could make her favorite pot roast and that lemon chiffon cake she likes and all the side dishes. I could do it all." My heart did a complicated little flip. On one hand, the sheer generosity of her offer, the love behind it, made me want to weep with pride. My girl, so thoughtful, so willing to give of herself. On the other hand, a cold knot of anxiety instantly formed in my stomach. My family, their track record, their capacity for casual disregard, especially when it came to anything I, or by extension Lily, initiated if it wasn't pre-approved or centered around Mark. I could already imagine the subtle put-downs, the "oh, isn't that ambitious for her?" comments, the potential for them to simply not take it seriously. I didn't want to crush her spirit. This wasn't just about cooking, it was about her wanting to offer a piece of her heart to her grandmother. David, when I shared Lily's idea and my reservations, was immediately supportive of Lily. "Let her, Sarah," he urged, his hand covering mine. "It's a wonderful, beautiful gesture. She's so talented. Maybe this time, they'll actually see her, appreciate her. Don't let your past experiences with them dim her light before she even tries." He was right, of course. I couldn't let my cynicism poison her enthusiasm. So I took a deep breath and said yes. When I tentatively floated the idea to Mom, her reaction was lukewarm, relayed with a distinct lack of enthusiasm. "Oh, Lily wants to cook? Well, that's sweet of her. If she really wants to, I suppose that's fine, dear." It wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement. It felt more like an indulgence, a pat on the head for a child's fanciful notion rather than genuine appreciation for the significant undertaking it would be. Mark and Claire, when they heard, offered similar, faintly patronizing responses. "Good luck with that," Mark had chuckled. Claire said, "Well, as long as there's a backup plan if it all goes pear-shaped." Their words stung, but I pushed the hurt down, focusing on Lily. And Lily, oblivious to or choosing to ignore any undercurrents, threw herself into the project with an almost ferocious dedication. She spent hours researching Grandma Eleanor's favorite dishes from her childhood, things Mom had mentioned in passing over the years. She meticulously planned a multi-course menu, writing it out in her neatest cursive on a piece of cardstock. There was the slow-braised pot roast, creamy mashed potatoes, glazed carrots, homemade dinner rolls, a fresh green bean casserole, her modern take, not the soupy kind, and for dessert, the legendary lemon chiffon cake with a 7-minute frosting, plus a rich chocolate tart for the chocoholics in the family. She even planned appetizers, little mushroom vol au vent, and a shrimp cocktail. It was a menu worthy of a fine restaurant, and she was going to make it all from scratch. She drew up detailed shopping lists, broke down prep schedules for the days leading up to the party. Her excitement was a bright, beautiful thing, so infectious that even my hardened, cynical heart began to thaw a little. Maybe David was right. Maybe this grand gesture, this offering of pure love and considerable skill, would finally break through their indifference. We planned for 18 guests. There was Grandma Eleanor, of course, the guest of honor. Then me, David, and Lily, our little family of 4. My brother Mark, his wife Susan, and their 2 children, Jack and Emily. My sister Claire, her husband Tom, and their 3 children, Olivia, Noah, and Sophia. That brought the count to 13. To round out Grandma's milestone celebration, Lily, after a chat with Grandma where Eleanor had seemed momentarily more engaged, also wanted to invite Grandma's 2 surviving siblings and their spouses, Great Aunt Mary and her husband, Bill, and Great Uncle John and his wife, Carol. And finally, Mrs. Peterson, Grandma's lifelong best friend, who was like another aunt to me. 18 people. 18 place settings. 18 portions of every dish. The scale of it was immense for a 14-year-old, but Lily was undaunted. If anything, the challenge seemed to fuel her. Each name on that guest list represented, in Lily's mind, someone who would appreciate her efforts, someone who would taste the love she was pouring into every chop, every stir, every carefully measured ingredient. A knot of anxiety still tightened in my stomach whenever I thought about the actual day, but watching Lily, so full of purpose and joy, I pushed it down. I had to believe for her sake. I had a hope that this time, just this once, my family would show up, not just physically, but emotionally too. With the menu finalized and Lily's enthusiasm at its peak, the next step was the invitations. Lily, bless her creative soul, didn't want to just send a text or make a casual call. She designed simple but elegant invitations on her computer, printing them on nice cardstock. Each one included the date, time, our address, and a little note. You are lovingly invited to celebrate Eleanor's 80th birthday with a special dinner prepared by her granddaughter, Lily. She even handwrote a personal line on each one. She was so proud of them. I helped her address the envelopes, a small ache in my heart as I wrote out the names of my brother and sister, already steeling myself for their probable reactions. The responses, when they trickled in, were a mixed bag and did little to soothe my underlying apprehension. Mark's reply was a text. Sounds ambitious for Lily. We'll see if we can make it. Mom's birthday is always a busy time for us, you know how it is. Lots of people wanting to celebrate her. That ambitious for Lily was a classic Mark put down, subtle but designed to undermine. And the busy time felt like he was already laying the groundwork for an excuse. Claire called, her tone breezy and a little dismissive. Oh, Sarah, got Lily's cute little invitation. That's really sweet of her to want to do all that work. I'll check with Tom and the kids. You know how hectic schedules get with school activities and sports. We'll try our best from Claire usually meant, don't count on it unless nothing better comes up. The responses from Great Aunt Mary, Great Uncle John, and their spouses were far more encouraging. They all called, sounding genuinely delighted. How lovely, dear. Aunt Mary had chirped. Eleanor must be so proud. Of course, we'll be there. Wouldn't miss it. Mrs. Peterson was equally enthusiastic. Oh, what a wonderful idea. Lily is such a dear girl. If Eleanor is going to be there, I wouldn't miss celebrating with her for the world. Their warmth was a balm, but the core family's lukewarm responses cast a long shadow. When I spoke to Mom directly, asking if she was looking forward to it, Her reply was still tinged with that familiar vagueness. Yes, yes, it sounds very nice, dear. Lily's such a good girl to want to do all that. Mark mentioned he might have a little something planned for earlier in the day, too. You know, just a small thing, but we should be able to make it to your place for dinner. That little addendum about Mark sent a tiny alarm bell ringing in my head, a premonition of competing plans, but I pushed it away. Surely, they wouldn't let Mark's small thing overshadow Lily's enormous effort for the main evening event. Despite the undercurrent of uncertainty from some quarters, Lily pressed on, her dedication unwavering. The week before the party, our kitchen transformed into her culinary command center. She meticulously organized her ingredients, prepped vegetables, made stocks from scratch. David became her willing sous chef and chief grocery getter, undertaking multiple trips to specialty stores for the freshest herbs or the perfect cut of beef. He'd come home laden with bags, and Lily's eyes would light up as she unpacked everything, her mind already visualizing the finished dishes. She practiced her lemon chiffon cake twice, tweaking the recipe until it was, in her words, absolutely perfect, light as a cloud. The house began to fill with the most incredible aromas, rich, savory scents mingling with the sweet fragrance of baking. It was a symphony of her effort, her love. My internal conflict raged. Watching her, so focused, so joyful in her labor, I desperately wanted to believe that this time would be different. That my family would see her, truly see the incredible young woman she was becoming, and shower her with the appreciation she so richly deserved. David, bless him, tried to be the voice of optimism, though he, too, knew my family's patterns. She's pouring her heart into this, Sarah, he'd say, watching Lily carefully pipe frosting onto a practice cake. They have to see that. They have to appreciate this level of effort, but then he'd catch my eye, and a shadow of shared understanding would pass between us. But if they don't, he added softly, we'll deal with it. You, and I will make sure Lily knows how amazing she is, no matter what. His quiet assurance was a lifeline. To underscore why my anxiety was so deeply rooted, I couldn't help but remember Lily's fifth-grade play. She'd had a small but significant role, and she'd practiced her lines for weeks, her little face alight with excitement. Mom, Mark, and Claire had all promised faithfully they'd be there. The day of the play, an hour before curtain, Mark called. Something urgent had come up with his golf buddies, a last-minute chance to play a prestigious course. Mom, of course, decided she needed to be available in case Mark needed anything, or perhaps she just preferred the idea of basking in his reflected glory later. Claire, predictably, had a sudden migraine that only seemed to surface when a commitment to me or Lily clashed with something more appealing concerning Mark. They all bailed. I remember Lily scanning the audience from the stage, her hopeful little face falling when she realized their seats were empty. I'd told her they were terribly sorry, that something unavoidable had come up, but the lie had tasted like ash in my mouth. That memory, and countless smaller slights like it, echoed in my mind as Lily chattered on about her menu, her table-setting ideas, how surprised and happy Grandma Eleanor would be. Her pure, untainted excitement, her unwavering belief in the goodness of her family, was almost unbearable to witness, knowing what I knew about their capacity for disappointment. Each meticulously planned detail, each hour she spent in the kitchen, felt like another stone added to the precarious tower of her hopes, a tower I feared was built on a foundation of sand. The day before the party, our house was a hive of activity, orchestrated by Chef Lily. She was a blur of motion, chopping vegetables with practiced ease, marinating the beef for the pot roast, carefully rolling out pastry for the chocolate tart and the mushroom vol au vent. The scent of simmering stocks and baking bread filled every corner, a fragrant testament to her labor. I played the role of humble kitchen porter, washing mountains of dishes, running errands for last-minute ingredients she'd forgotten, and trying to keep my rising tide of anxiety hidden beneath a calm, supportive demeanor. David was a star, a constant, reassuring presence for Lily, taste testing, offering words of encouragement, and generally being her biggest cheerleader. That afternoon, I decided to make a few calls, just to get a final confirmation, a tiny reassurance that my fears were unfounded. I called Claire first. "Oh, hey Sarah," she answered, sounding distracted, kids yelling in the background. "Yeah, tomorrow night, right?" "Uh-huh, still planning on it. I think. Unless something major comes up, you know how it is." Her noncommittal tone did nothing to ease my worries. It was the classic Claire Hedge, leaving ample room for a last-minute cancellation. Mark didn't even answer his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I left a message. "Hey Mark, just confirming for Lily's dinner for Mom tomorrow. She's really looking forward to seeing everyone." He never called back. Then I called Mom. "Hi Mom, just checking in. Lily's so excited for your dinner tomorrow night. The house smells amazing already." "Oh, that's nice, dear," she replied, her voice pleasant but distant. "Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Mark did say he might have a little surprise for me earlier in the day, something just for us, before we head over to your place. He's so thoughtful." There it was again. Mark's little surprise, a small, cold pebble of dread dropped into my stomach. "Oh, what kind of surprise?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh," he didn't say. "Wants it to be a secret," she chirped, oblivious to the warning bells clanging in my head. "But don't worry, we should still be there for Lily's dinner. Mark knows she's cooking, should still be there. Not will be there." The distinction was not lost on me. The morning of Grandma Eleanor's 80th birthday dawned bright and clear, a beautiful autumn day, which felt like a cruel irony given the storm brewing in my soul. Lily, however, was up with the birds, a bundle of focused energy and nervous excitement. The final, crucial dishes were being prepared. The pot roast went into the oven for its slow braise, filling the house with an aroma so rich and comforting it almost made me believe everything would be okay. Sauces were simmered and tasted, vegetables prepped for their final cooking, the lemon chiffon cake carefully assembled and frosted with fluffy 7-minute icing that Lily declared her masterpiece. Our home, already clean, was given a final polish by Lily herself, who wanted everything to be perfect for Grandma. She hummed as she worked, a little tune of happy anticipation. David, ever the practical support, took charge of the dining room. He helped Lily extend our large oak table to its maximum capacity, carefully placing the extra leaves. Together, they covered it with Mom's best lace tablecloth, which I'd inherited and Lily had insisted on using. Then came the good china, the pieces we only used for truly special occasions. Lily directed the placement of each plate, each set of silverware, each water goblet and wine glass. 18 place settings. Each one a silent testament to Lily's hopes, her hours of labor, her boundless love. She'd even made little place cards with everyone's name written in her careful script, decorated with tiny, hand-drawn flowers. Looking at that beautifully appointed table, the result of so much care and effort from my child, a fragile flicker of hope ignited within me. Surely, they wouldn't disappoint her this badly. Not for her grandma's 80th birthday. Not when a 14-year-old girl had poured every ounce of her being into making it special. This was too big, too significant a gesture to be casually dismissed. My family, for all their faults, couldn't be that heartless. Could they? The food was magnificent. The table was set for a queen and her court, and Lily, my precious daughter, was ready to present her extraordinary gift. All that was left was for the guests to arrive. The designated arrival time for Grandma Eleanor's 80th birthday dinner, as per Lily's carefully crafted invitations, was 6 o'clock in the evening. Everything was timed to perfection. The pot roast was resting, ready to be carved, its rich juices creating an ambrosial gravy. The side dishes were warm, the salads crisp, the appetizers arranged artfully on platters. Lily, having showered and changed into a pretty new dress she'd picked out specially for the occasion, hovered near the front window, her face alight with anticipation, nervously smoothing down her skirt and checking the clock on the mantelpiece every few minutes. 6 o'clock arrived. The grandfather clock in the hall chimed its deep, sonorous notes. No doorbell. No car pulled into the driveway. Silence, apart from the quiet hum of the oven keeping dishes warm and Lily's increasingly audible, anxious breathing. "Maybe there's traffic, Mom," she said, her voice a little too bright, her smile a little too forced. It can get bad on a Friday night. I'm sure that's it, sweetie, I replied, trying to inject a confidence I didn't feel. David caught my eye from across the room, a flicker of concern in his usually calm gaze. By 6:15, the silence in the house had become heavy, oppressive. Lily's carefully constructed composure was beginning to fray. She paced from the window to the dining room, her earlier excitement visibly dimming, replaced by a dawning confusion. I pulled out my phone, my fingers fumbling slightly as I started sending texts. To Claire. Hey, are you guys on your way? Dinner's ready and smells amazing. Lily's getting anxious. Read receipt popped up. No immediate reply. To Mark. Hi Mark, just checking if you're running late. Lily's eager to get the party started. Delivered. No read receipt yet. David tried to keep things light, offering Lily a glass of sparkling cider. They're just building the suspense, Lils, he said with a wink. Fashionably late, I'm sure. Your great Aunt Mary always did like to make an entrance, but his eyes, when they met mine over Lily's head, were dark with a shared, unspoken dread. 6:30. The magnificent aroma of roasted meat, savory herbs, and sweet baking that had earlier filled us with such pride now seemed almost mocking, a fragrant reminder of an impending disaster. Lily was no longer trying to hide her distress. Her lower lip trembled, and her eyes, usually so bright, were clouded with worry. Mom, she whispered, her voice small and shaky. Did I get the day wrong? Or the time? No, sweetie, no, I said, pulling her into a hug, my own heart constricting with a terrible premonition. You got everything perfectly right. Let me try calling. My calls started their fruitless journey into the ether. Claire's phone rang and rang, then clicked over to her cheerful, impersonal voicemail. Mark's went straight to voicemail, not even a ring. A cold, sickening dread began to creep through me, chilling me to the bone despite the warmth from the kitchen. This wasn't just tardiness. This felt deliberate. I sent texts to Great Aunt Mary, Great Uncle John, and Mrs. Peterson. Hi, just wondering if you're nearby. Dinner is ready whenever you are. Hope everything is okay. Normally, they were prompt responders, especially Aunt Mary. The silence from their phones was deeply unsettling. It was now approaching 6:45. Nearly an hour past the arrival time. Lily had stopped pacing. She just stood at the entrance to the dining room, her slim shoulders slumped, gazing at the beautifully set table, the laden sideboard, the 18 empty chairs. The festive decorations she'd so carefully put up, a happy 80th birthday grandma banner, some tasteful balloons, now looked garish and forlorn. The vibrant colors seemed to mock the crushing gray of our reality. Her eyes, when she finally turned them to me, were wide and swimming with unshed tears. They're not coming, are they, Mom? She asked, her voice barely a whisper, yet each word landed like a physical blow. Just then, my phone, which I was still clutching with white knuckles, buzzed. It was Claire, finally calling back. I snatched it up, a desperate, foolish hope flaring. Claire.
Where are you?
Is everyone okay? Oh, Sarah.
Eat.
Her voice was breezy, infuriatingly casual, like she was calling to chat about the weather.
So sorry.
Things got totally crazy here. Mark decided to spring this amazing surprise dinner on Mom at the Grand. You know, that fancy new place downtown? It was fabulous. And then everyone just sort of ended up back at his place for cake and champagne. Mom was pretty tired after all the excitement. So sorry, it completely slipped my mind to call you about your dinner. Lily will understand, right? Kids are resilient. The Grand. The most expensive, exclusive restaurant in the city. The one Mark had been bragging about wanting to try. Slipped her mind. Lily will understand. The sheer, unadulterated gall of it, the absolute lack of consideration, ignited a rage within me so potent it momentarily stole my breath. Slipped her mind? I managed to choke out, my voice trembling. Claire, Lily has been cooking for days. She made a feast for 18 people. For her grandmother's 80th birthday. How could you just not tell us? Oh, well, Claire said, a hint of impatience creeping into her tone. You know how these things go. Spontaneous decisions. Mark really wanted to treat Mom. Look, I've got to run. Things are still a bit hectic here. Just tell Lily Grandma says happy birthday from her and sends her love, and then she hung up.
Click.
Just like that. The finality of that click, the casual cruelty in Claire's voice, was like a physical assault. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. I tried Mark's number again, driven by a futile need to hear some explanation, any explanation from him. Straight to voicemail. As I was about to throw my phone across the room, a text message pinged. It was from Great Aunt Mary. Dear Sarah, so very sorry for the confusion. Eleanor called us this afternoon, around lunchtime. She said that plans had changed slightly, that Mark was taking charge of her birthday celebrations and had arranged something special, and that we should go directly to his house after his event. We naturally assumed you knew, and that your dinner was perhaps a different part of the celebration, or had been rescheduled. I am so terribly sorry if there's been a misunderstanding. Please give Lily our love, so Mom knew. Mom knew this afternoon. She knew Lily was slaving away in the kitchen, preparing this massive dinner, and she hadn't bothered to call. She'd let Mark's plans supersede everything, let him bulldoze over Lily's heartfelt gesture without a second thought, without the common decency of a phone call to her own granddaughter. She was complicit. Actively complicit. Lily, who had been watching my face during the call with Claire, didn't even need to hear the details of Aunt Mary's text. She saw the truth in my eyes, in the way my shoulders sagged, in the fury I was struggling to contain. The last vestiges of hope drained from her face, leaving it pale and stricken. With a small, choked sob, she turned and walked into the dining room. She pulled out the ornate chair at the head of the table, the one she had designated for Grandma Eleanor, the guest of honor. And she sat down, this small, 14-year-old girl, alone at the head of a vast, empty table, surrounded by a silent, mocking feast. And then she put her head down on her arms and wept. Not loud, hysterical sobs, but the quiet, heartbreaking kind that speak of a spirit utterly crushed. The image of her sitting there, engulfed by the emptiness, by the sheer, calculated indifference of her family, is seared into my memory. David, who had heard my side of the conversation with Claire, was pale with a quiet, contained fury. He went to Lily, knelt beside her, and just held her, murmuring words of comfort that I couldn't quite hear, his own eyes blazing with an anger that matched my own. The magnificent food, the product of so many hours of Lily's love and labor, now seemed like a grotesque monument to their cruelty. The rich aroma of the pot roast, the delicate scent of the lemon cake, the vibrant colors of the glazed carrots, it all felt like a bitter reproach. 18 place settings, 18 empty chairs, 18 silent accusations. Lily had just stood there waiting, her hope slowly bleeding out, until the brutal truth could no longer be denied. And in that moment, something inside me snapped. The years of swallowing slights, of making excuses for them, of trying to keep the peace, it all shattered. This was not just about a ruined dinner. This was about my child's heart. And they had broken it without a flicker of remorse. The immediate aftermath was a blur of raw, painful emotion. My primary focus, overriding even the towering rage I felt towards my family, was Lily. Seeing her so utterly devastated, trying to find words to comfort her when there were no adequate words to explain such casual cruelty from people she loved and trusted, was the hardest thing I've ever had to do as a mother. Why, Mom, she sobbed into David's shoulder, her small body shaking. Why don't they like me? What did I do wrong? Her questions, so innocent and direct, tore through me. Oh, sweetie, no, you did nothing wrong. I choked out, stroking her hair, my own tears starting to fall. You did everything perfectly. You are amazing, and what you did, the dinner you made, was an incredible gift of love. This isn't about you. This is about them. This is about their thoughtlessness, their selfishness, but how do you explain deep-seated familial dysfunction and malignant narcissism to a heartbroken 14-year-old? David, his jaw tight with a fury I rarely saw in him, was a pillar of strength. He held Lily, let her cry, and then, with a grim determination, He started to deal with the practicalities. "We can't let this beautiful food go to waste, Sarah," he said, his voice rough. "Not all of it, anyway." Lily worked too hard. He began carefully packing up the dishes. The sheer volume of food was staggering. Platters of pot roast, bowls of mashed potatoes, tureens of vegetables, the glorious cakes. Enough to feed a small army, because Lily had lovingly prepared for 18. We called a few of our close friends and neighbors, people we knew would appreciate Lily's cooking and, more importantly, her spirit. A couple of them came over, offering quiet words of sympathy and taking home generous portions, their faces reflecting a mixture of pity for Lily and outrage on our behalf. David also found a local homeless shelter that was open to late-night donations. We loaded up the car with as much as we could, a somber procession. There was a grim satisfaction in knowing that at least some of Lily's labor would go to people who were genuinely grateful, but it didn't lessen the sting of the original rejection. So much effort, so much specific love, meticulously crafted for them, now being given away to strangers because they couldn't be bothered. Later that night, long after a tear-exhausted Lily had finally fallen asleep in her bed, my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Mark. "Hey Sarah. Heard Lily cooked tonight." Whoops, total miscommunication on the family front. Mom decided on something else last minute for her birthday. Hope it wasn't too much trouble for Elle. Catch you later. Hope it wasn't too much trouble. The breathtaking arrogance, the utter lack of apology or empathy in those few glib words sent a fresh wave of rage through me. Too much trouble? He had no concept, no idea of the days of work, the meticulous planning, the sheer heart Lily had invested. And Mom decided on something else last minute. A blatant lie, or at best a gross distortion, given what Aunt Mary had said about Eleanor knowing that afternoon and Mark being the one to orchestrate the surprise at the Grand. As for Grandma Eleanor herself, silence. Not a call, not a text, not a word. Her silence, in many ways, was the most damning, the most painful. It confirmed her complicity, her willingness to let her granddaughter's heart be collateral damage in the ongoing saga of Mark's preeminence. Sleep was an impossibility that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every dismissive comment from my family over the years, every casually broken promise, every instance where my achievements and later Lily's were downplayed or ignored in favor of Mark. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was the brutal culmination of a lifetime pattern of disrespect, of being made to feel secondary, insignificant. And now they had done it to my child, to innocent, loving Lily. A cold, hard resolve began to solidify in my heart. This was it. This was the line they had irrevocably crossed. I would not let them get away with this. I would not let them diminish my daughter's spirit or teach her that her worth was negligible. There would be a confrontation. Not for an apology. I knew them too well to expect genuine remorse. But for a reckoning. For a clear, unequivocal statement that their behavior was unacceptable and would no longer be tolerated. David, lying beside me, sensed the shift in my breathing. He reached for my hand in the darkness. "We're in this together, Sarah," he murmured. "Whatever you decide to do, I'm with you. They won't hurt our girl like this again." His quiet solidarity was the bedrock I needed. This time, there would be consequences. My little girl would not be their emotional punching bag, not anymore. The era of me being the quiet, accommodating daughter and sister was over. They had finally pushed me too far. The question of how to confront them consumed me the next morning. A furious group email detailing their callousness? A series of scathing individual phone calls? Part of me wanted to scream, to unleash the torrent of rage and hurt that was churning inside. But I also knew that raw, uncontrolled anger might allow them to dismiss me as hysterical, to further justify their narrative that I was overreacting. No, this needed to be deliberate, clear, and in a setting where they couldn't easily hang up or ignore me. Providence, or perhaps a sympathetic whisper from great Aunt Mary, who called briefly the next morning, her voice laced with genuine distress and apology for her unwitting part in the previous day's debacle, delivered the perfect opportunity. Aunt Mary mentioned, hesitantly, that Mark was hosting a post-birthday brunch for Grandma Eleanor at his house that very day. Just a casual get-together, she'd said, clearly uncomfortable. Casual for them, perhaps. For me, it was the stage I needed. David, I said, my voice tight with resolve. We're going to Mark's, he just nodded, his expression grim. Lily, sweetie, I asked gently, do you want to come with us? She was quiet for a moment, then shook her head, her eyes still shadowed.
No, Mom. I
don't want to see them. Not right now, I understood completely. This was my battle to fight, for her. When David and I arrived at Mark's sprawling, impeccably decorated house, the manufactured cheerfulness of the scene was nauseating. We could hear laughter and chatter from the back patio. Peeking through the French doors, we saw them all. Mark, holding court by the barbecue. Claire, fussing over Mom. Susan, Mark's perpetually smiling, enabling wife. Tom, Claire's equally passive husband. Their collective, oblivious children. And Grandma Eleanor, seated like a queen in a comfortable patio chair, basking in the attention. Our entrance cast an immediate pall. Laughter died in throats. Smiles froze. Mark's face tightened with annoyance. Sarah? David? What are you doing here? I didn't think. You didn't think we'd show up? I finished for him, my voice surprisingly steady. After yesterday? Or did you just hope we'd quietly disappear as usual? I didn't wait for an answer. I stepped further onto the patio, my gaze sweeping over each of them. I'm not here for brunch, I announced, my voice carrying clearly in the sudden silence. I'm here because of what you all did to my daughter yesterday. You didn't just miss a dinner. I began, my voice trembling slightly at first, then gaining strength as the words poured out. You didn't just forget or have a miscommunication. What you did, all of you, was willfully and cruelly break a 14-year-old girl's heart. A child who loves you, Grandma, I said, looking directly at my mother, whose face had gone pale. A child who spent days, pouring her heart and soul into making your 80th birthday special, into creating a feast she thought you would love, Mark scoffed, ever defensive. Oh, here we go. It was a simple misunderstanding, Sarah. You're completely overreacting. Lily needs to toughen up a bit. It's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. David interjected, his voice like ice. For her, yesterday, it felt pretty close. You have no idea, do you, Mark? No idea what she went through, Claire rushed in, trying her usual placating tactics. Oh, Sarah, please. We said we were sorry. It wasn't intentional. Things just happened. Intentional or not, Claire, the outcome was the same. I shot back. Devastation. Lily sat at that beautiful table she'd set for 18 people, surrounded by food she'd lovingly prepared for all of you, and she wept because not one of you had the decency to show up or even call her. Her own grandmother, her aunts, uncles, cousins. I turned back to my mother. Grandma, Lily made your favorite pot roast, your favorite lemon chiffon cake. She remembered things you'd said you liked years ago. She researched, she practiced, she cleaned, she decorated. She did all of this for you. And you knew. Aunt Mary told me you called her yesterday afternoon, told her plans had changed because Mark was doing something. You knew Lily was expecting you, expecting everyone, and you didn't even pick up the phone to tell your own granddaughter. Mom looked profoundly uncomfortable, her eyes darting towards Mark as if for a cue. Finally, she spoke, her voice defensive. Well, Mark just wanted to treat his old mother to something special. He's always so thoughtful. Lily can cook for me another time. It's not such a big deal. Another time? The casual dismissal, the utter devaluing of Lily's monumental effort was like a knife to my heart. There won't be another time, Mom. Not like this. Lily offered you, all of you, a gift of her truest self, her passion, her love. And you didn't just decline it. You threw it back in her face. You preferred an expensive restaurant, a showy gesture orchestrated by Mark, over your granddaughter's heartfelt labor because it was Mark's idea, wasn't it? Because Mark's desires always come first in this family. I described Lily's desolate figure at the empty table, her tear-streaked face, the mountains of food that represented her wasted love. You taught Lily a very harsh lesson yesterday, I said, my voice thick with emotion but unwavering. You taught her that some people in her own family are not worth her love, not worth her effort, not worth her trust.
And you know what?
After yesterday, I think she's finally right. And I am so sorry it took me this long to see it clearly enough to protect her from it. I looked at each of them in turn. Mark's arrogant defiance, Claire's wilting discomfort, Susan and Tom's awkward, complicit silence, Mom's distressed confusion. We are done, I stated, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. David, Lily, and I will no longer be an afterthought, an optional extra, or your emotional doormat. Our lives will not be arranged around your whims and conveniences. We will not be attending family events where we are clearly not valued, where our presence is tolerated rather than cherished. You want to see Lily? You want a relationship with her, with any of us? You will have to earn it. And frankly, after the deliberate, callous cruelty of yesterday, I don't see how you possibly can with that. David put his arm around my shoulders, and we turned and walked away, leaving them in a stunned, uncomfortable silence. Walking out of Mark's house that day, I felt a profound, aching sadness for the family I wished I had, for the grandmother Lily deserved. But beneath the sadness, there was also a burgeoning sense of relief, of empowerment. A terrible weight had been lifted. The charade was over. It's been just over a year since that disastrous birthday and the subsequent confrontation. The changes have been profound, both liberating and tinged with a certain sorrow for what can never be. The fallout from that day was immediate and, for the most part, silent. For months, there was no contact from Mark or Claire. No calls, no texts, not even a performative, guilt-laden apology. It was as if, by calling out their behavior, we had made ourselves the problem, the ones disrupting the carefully curated family narrative where their actions were always justifiable and our feelings were irrelevant. Grandma Eleanor did call once, a few weeks later. It was a stilted, awkward conversation. She didn't apologize, not really. She said things like, "It's all such a shame," and "family shouldn't be like this," as if it were some abstract tragedy that had befallen us, rather than a direct consequence of her choices and actions. She lamented not seeing Lily, but there was no real accountability, no understanding of the depth of the hurt she had inflicted. I was polite but firm. I told her Lily was healing, that we were focusing on our little family unit, and that any future relationship would require genuine effort and change from their side, something I honestly didn't expect to see. And I haven't. Great Aunt Mary and Great Uncle John, to their credit, reached out separately. They expressed their sincere regret for the misunderstanding and their deep sympathy for Lily. Aunt Mary even sent Lily a beautiful cookbook and a heartfelt note praising her talent and her generous spirit. Their kindness was a small beacon, reminder that not all family connections are inherently toxic. Lily, my resilient, amazing daughter, has slowly healed. For a while, the joy she found in cooking was dimmed. The kitchen, once her sanctuary, felt tainted by the memory. But gradually, with our unwavering support and encouragement, her passion rekindled. She started small, baking for us, for her close friends who had rallied around her with genuine affection. Then, she volunteered to bake for a local charity bake sale, and the praise she received, the visible delight her creations brought to others, helped to restore her confidence. She's even started a little food blog, sharing her recipes and her journey. She's stronger now, more discerning about who she shares her gifts with. The naivety is gone, replaced by a quiet wisdom beyond her 15 years. She understands, with a clarity that still makes my heart ache, that not everyone who shares her bloodline deserves her trust or her effort. As for me, the change has been transformative. For years, I had unknowingly carried the weight of their expectations, their subtle dismissals, their conditional affection. Confronting them, drawing that immovable line in the sand, was like setting down an immense burden I hadn't fully realized I was carrying. There's a peace in no longer seeking their approval, in no longer contorting myself to fit into their dysfunctional dynamic. The loss of that wider family circle is, in truth, no real loss at all. It's an absence of pain, an absence of constant, low-grade anxiety about the next slight, the next disappointment. Our little family of three, me, David, and Lily, has grown even closer. We cherish our time together. Our home is a true sanctuary of love, respect, and mutual appreciation. Lily is thriving, surrounded by genuine affection and support, free from the shadow of their favoritism and casual cruelty. I've learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up, who values you, who treats your heart with care. It's about respect, support, and unconditional love, things my extended family were and are incapable of consistently offering. It's a bittersweet lesson, realizing that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is to walk away, to choose your own peace and your child's well-being over the illusion of family unity. The pain of that day, of seeing Lily's devastation, will likely never fully fade. But it has become a profound teacher, a catalyst for creating a life for myself and my daughter that is authentic, joyful, and free from the obligation to endure disrespect in the name of family. We are better for it. We are stronger. And Lily knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that she is loved, cherished, and worth every effort by those who truly matter. And that brings us to today. It's still a painful memory, but it's also a reminder of our strength, Lily's and mine. A reminder that sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most profound peace. I truly want to know, has anyone else out there experienced something similar? A time when a heartfelt gesture, especially from a child, was met with such devastating indifference or cruelty by family. How did you handle it? What did you learn from it? Please share your stories and your thoughts in the comments below. I promise you, I read every single one, and your experiences helped me, and I hope others feel less alone in these complex family dynamics. If this story resonated with you, if it touched your heart or made you think, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel and allows these stories to reach more people who might need to hear them. And if you're new here and you'd like to hear more stories about navigating life's challenges, finding your voice, and building resilience, I'd be so grateful if you'd consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Remember, you deserve to be treated with kindness, dignity, and respect, especially by those who claim to be your family. Protect your peace, protect your children, and never, ever let anyone make you feel small for having a big heart. Thank you so much for listening.